So in this Alanis Morissette song, she is constantly talking about how she will love her partner unconditionally. If you do this, I'll love you unconditionally. If you do that, I'll love you unconditionally. No matter what you do, I'm just going to love you unconditionally. And as I listened to that with my mind training partner, the two of us turned around and we smiled at one another. And I thought, that is the idea of love that the world teaches. And even though Alanis Morissette is gone to a very high level, it seems her songs are absolutely fantastic when she talks about your most generous triggers and thanking someone for bringing everything, all the dark thoughts to her awareness. It feels very important to remember that to go this deep in the mind, there must be a sense of safety. Now, it's not meant to be a sense of control. It is meant to be a sense of like a light guidelines under which the mind can relax. Because the mind has become so used to trying to make things inform a certain way that it needs to relax there. And it has also become so spiritually aware that to be good, it must just allow everything. And that doesn't really work for the mind to relax either. And so the invitation is to have shared agreements between you. For example, fidelity is often one of the shared agreements if it's a romantic relationship that's being used for healing. And a sense of we will always communicate, we won't break off communication. Or perhaps it's agreements about money and how it will be spent and that there'll be joining before such a thing occurs. So whatever it is, these are designed, these agreements that are highly individualized between the two, or if it's a community within the group, of how we relate to one another in such a way that when all of the dark, wild thoughts and feelings and everything come up, then we have this stable base, like a safety container in which we can relax back and know that this can be allowed up and anything can be said that needs to be said, and the emotion and the deep fears and grievances can come up and they won't interfere with this stable baseline, because there's an understanding that the thoughts that are being spoken are of the ego and that the emotions that are being expressed are also of the ego, and that unless this dense, heavy blockage within the seeming sense of self is lifted up, it can't be removed by the spirit. So it's like plumbing for awakening is a lot of what holy relationship is about. It's about giving that ultimate devotion to keeping the pipes clean at all times. And whether you need to get your Drano or whether you've got your plumbing devices at your behest, it doesn't matter what it is. That devotion to get in there, roll up the sleeves together and just do whatever needs to be done in the moment to allow it to clear. And before, you would have objected with shit flying in your life. You would be like, okay, I don't like that. That's not good enough for me. I'm raised, I should be treated better than this. Ideas of feminism, ideas of macho men, ideas of fairness, ideas of I'm worthy and I deserve it, all have to be questioned in order to let the shit come up and to allow it to be cleansed. And yet you get on a roll with it. It becomes very joyful for the two of you to face this together, then smeared with everything afterwards. You're looking at one another and there's just this deep gratitude at the willingness, because more and more you recognize that it's not their thoughts. It's not even their ego thoughts. It's the egoic thoughts in the mind which you share. And your entire devotion is to seeing that you're the same one. Your entire devotion every second of every day is to seeing that you're the same one. And in that absolute willingness, when you would rather throttle them, that you are willing to look at them and go, okay, I'm mistaken in what I'm seeing, and desire to look, to find the eyes of the beloved in the one before you, no matter what's unfolding. And yet simultaneously being completely authentic is the only way that the healing can occur. Now this all sounds very ordered and specific and planned, and yet it's never experienced that way. It is often experienced as kind of chaotic and who knows what's going on. And yet if you stay in your devotion to having the Holy Spirit be your third, to not doing anything with two, but to always doing it with three, to stay in your Trinity, then that devotion is there to constantly be calling on the Spirit in the moment as it's needed, to ask for help, to pause, pray, step back and breathe, especially in heightened moments, and to allow that awareness to come, but not to be afraid of those heightened moments. That's essential. And so I really feel like what we're looking for in this moment is to get clear, is there enough juice? Is there enough passion between the two of you for this singular purpose together? Or is it just too hard to do it with the other because what's getting flushed up for one or the other is so attacking their self-concept and they're not really ready to go any deeper with that? Now, only the Spirit can guide you at this point. It's very helpful to have a third informed, to have an elder brother or sister with whom the two of you can speak to get clear on what's really given and what's really stuck. And to be honest, it's never what you think. It's never at all what you think. What's missing in anything is what I have not given. And sometimes what I have not given is given up. As in given up wanting it to work out in a particular way with a particular person. And that's very humbling. And so it's with all of these thoughts and feelings that we must work. And also the guilt and the shame that comes at the idea that a relationship might be ending or morphing or changing into something else. And the desire to cling because of familiarity and because of the belief that it should work out, it was supposed to, that was what was meant to happen, I failed somehow. And so you must come into this state of mind where, just like sitting in your garden and watching the light fall from tree to tree, where is the sparkle? Where is the soft, gentle sparkle of release? Because it may come with a little buffering of, healing and wildness first. So you don't want to be tricked by going, where is it just easy all the time? You want to go, where is the draw? Where am I finding myself constantly? And where is the push away? And at times it will be a great push away to one another when you're in holy relationship. Yet you can still feel that compulsion to move to the other side together. There will, of course, be the desire to kill and get rid of the other as a primary way of feeling better. But it's pretty obvious that that's a trick. Anytime you want to get rid of the other and you have the thought that even if you get out of this room, away from them, you'll feel better, then, you can question that. And then tune in and ask, would it be guided, perhaps, that I take a break from this conversation and go to another room? Because your devotion is such that you wouldn't be willing to just take that and run. You can't really mess it up. The Spirit's got both of you. Whatever it is that drew you together, it may be that so much has shifted that at this point, a complete fresh look at where you both are and what's needed for both of you, with great courage, is what's needed. I can't imagine that you couldn't really do it at this point without a third. And the reason for that is because your assessment is so based on the past and the hoped for future that you're not really aware to what both of you are feeling in the present moment. There's so much guilt and shame and blame. And most people stay together out of guilt. They have so much on each other and they don't want the other to get away with it. And another grievance that comes up at the end of a period of being together rather than an end of a relationship, because these relationships never end. That's the shift from special to holy relationship, is a transcendence of this idea of together at all, is the idea that you don't want them to be happy without you. And that's another one to watch for. So here we are. We're in the garden of earthly delights, which we don't want to get distracted by. And yet it's time to transform this relationship completely and turn it completely over to the Holy Spirit by writing a big list of all the hopes and dreams we had for it and all the ways we would use it and all the comforts we think it brings us. And in humbleness, surrendering those because we want peace instead of this. And then whatever is given, ask that it be made obvious.